producer of over 22 years now. And I've done everything from corporate oil and gas video up in Fort McMurray to on-camera entertainment reporting for City TV, to documentary series. And I finished with a production company about 5 years ago, working as co-executive producer on a television drama here in Canada. And we were actually nominated for the Canadian Screen Award for Best Dramatic Series. So that's our Emmy. That's our Emmy of Canada. It was kind of crazy. Then I got even crazier and I decided to become an entrepreneur and start a company seeing a niche and a need for people to really embrace video. I had no idea there was going to be a global pandemic. I couldn't have called that one, but video is here to stay. It is not going away. And for a lot of people I work with on a daily basis, that can be really daunting and overwhelming. So it's just yet another thing that we need to embrace, another job that we need to do. Something else that's technical for any of us that are, you know, above millennial and on, that's a difficult thing sometimes, right? I lean on my team on a regular basis in regards to technology. And I've been immersed in this, shooting videos on my grandma and grandpa's VHS camcorder since I was 10 years old. So really what we want to achieve today is we want to be able to answer some of those questions. We want you to be able to have some tangible takeaways in order to level up your video. And that's whether you're video content creating or even just video conferencing. So what I do want to preface with is that I'm going to be talking about some of the faux pas in regards to video content creation and video conferencing. This is no way, shape, or form judgment or criticism when you're looking back at yourself and going, oh my gosh, I'm doing that. I'm not picking on you. I am just trying to help you. This is, you don't know what you don't know. So I want to share with you information. And some things are so simple and subtle. You're going to learn today that people are like, okay, you just blew my mind. What do you mean? I just adjust something that slightly and it increases the production values. Are you kidding me? No, I am not. So just so you know, I'm a little bit quirky, eccentric. This is going to be fun, high vibe. I do implore you to turn your cameras on so I can engage and we can be collaborative. If you have questions, interrupt me. Say, Jessie, you know, feel free to stop me and we can talk about things through as we go. We do have a bit of a smaller group today. Well, it's kind of average size, which is great. I'm really, really happy that you guys came out because I know that you'll take something away from today. Usually people do. So first of all, what I want to do is I want to talk to you about some of your video fears. Let's face these fears because I know everybody's got them. And I know this because I live and breathe this daily. One of the biggest things I hear is I'm just not comfortable putting myself on camera. Okay. Does that resonate with anybody here? We have some big nods. Okay. The technology, like video, I'm scared of the technology. Is that something that's daunting for people? I'm getting some nods. Feel free to throw things into the chat. I'd love to kind of get to know you guys and get to know what I can answer for you. What are some of your biggest video questions? What are some things that we can accomplish here today so I can meet and manage that expectation? Lighting, we're going to talk about lighting. Yes. Love lighting. I'm just a little bit enthusiastic about it. What else? What else? Come on, folks. You got questions. I know you do. And you have a wealth of information right here for the next 55 minutes. Give it to me. Keeping participants engaged and comfortable in meetings. Yes. Let's talk about that. Backgrounds. Yes, we're going to talk about backgrounds. This is amazing. When you do not have a choice of what's your office. Okay. So this is calibration. Backgrounds when you do not have a choice of what is in your office. I've worked with somebody who was sitting in the back corner of his unfinished basement because his wife and kids like owned the upper floors. And he's like, help me. You see my hot water tank in the background. Lighting from a laptop, definitely. Tools, simple tools that don't have to cost you a lot of money. Awesome. This is great. Keep them coming. All right. Okay. So why don't we dive in? Why don't we get started? So I'm just going to do a screen share with you and jump into, cat Zoom bombers. Okay. Yeah. You know, those are kind of fun. We don't need that to go away. We need to keep some fun in our lives. Keep the cats coming, folks. Permission granted. All right, let me just get into present mode here. Get visible, get video. All right, so there has never been a time that video has become more important and that you are putting yourself forward as professional as possible using video on a regular basis. So how do we do that? Sorry, I forgot this slide was in here. I usually skip over this. So some statistics are, I mean, it's blatantly out there. This is how people are consuming content. People are consuming content through video. And these stats are coming from 2019. This is pre-pandemic. We're waiting for the next round of stats to come out. So just a few things. I'm not going to read through all of this, but you want to keep it short and sweet. Videos under 2 minutes get the most engagement. You definitely want to be embracing video, but how? How do we ensure we're creating good video quality? Because if it's not good video quality, it's your reputation on the line and people will tune out. Well, before you even push record, before you even turn on your camera, we want to think about story, okay? Now, stories can be told in a very short amount of time. Often we think that we need to take this long, drawn out situation and tell a story. You can tell a story in 15 seconds. Facebook stories, Instagram stories, these are popular. These are still stories being told. You're showing things that are being done. You're behind the scenes, you're involved in people's lives. We want to see those things, but you want to keep it short and keep it simple. So in regards to your story and messaging, this is incredibly important, especially where we are all at now. So Zoom burnout is a very real thing. We are spending tremendous amount of times on screens, whereas before we would have our meetings in person all day and then we would go to the screens for our social media and we would be on there in the evening, maybe a little bit during the day. So keeping it short and simple, especially when you're starting to video content create, is really, really incredibly important. 2 minutes and less. 90 seconds is like my favorite time for a video because it goes by like this, but you can really do a nice beginning, middle, end. You want to speak directly to the camera. So this is answering one of the questions in regards to engagement. So oftentimes we're looking at the gallery of folks that are there. We're looking at the screens that we're presenting. We're looking at the other person. We want to be looking directly into the camera. This is where we transcend the lens. We want to try to create a situation where it feels as though we're actually sitting across from that person, having that cup of coffee that we all so desire to have, right? And so we want to be looking through that lens. But the same is true when we're video content creating, when we're doing the Facebook Lives or when we're shooting videos. Oftentimes we're looking at ourselves on the screen. And we do workshops all the time. And this is one of the most common mistakes. So I'll send my workshop attendees out to go and capture some footage. And they come back and they're like, Jessie, I looked at myself the whole time. That is so hard. It is more difficult than you imagine, but you want to be looking at the camera, and on phones, our camera is on the top middle. So really looking into that lens so that we're talking to that person as though we were sitting across from them, as though we were making eye contact. And it's something so subtle, but what I often tell people to do is put a little sticky up. And actually my intern made me this sticky that I have here with a beautiful set of eyes that I have stuck around my camera that reminds me to look toward the other person. And that's where the eye contact's made. Or put a little post-it note up there that says, look here, right? So just little reminders to get you into the practice of that. So when you're speaking directly to camera, something else that I always recommend is to have notes, have ideas of what you're going to talk about before you even roll that camera. Because when this pandemic hit, I saw a whole bunch of people jumping on, knowing that they needed video, we needed video, and it was kind of a panic, but they were just basically pushing record, the Facebook Lives, whatever the case may be, and putting anything and everything out there that didn't really provide value or didn't really have proper messaging, right? And have notes, but not a script. Now, the reason why I say that is from the point that I just made before in regards to eye contact. So oftentimes I will have people come into an interview with me and they will hand me their sheet of paper, that they have, or their notes that they've written out. And they go to hand it to me and it's like pulling a security blanket out of their hands. Just give it to me. And then they go, okay, the next question is, can you just hold it up by the camera? And I say, no, but we're going to get you through this. And the reason why is that when you have notes beside the camera, just like when you have a knee injury and you have some crutches and you're healing, if you have those crutches, you're going to lean on them, right? And if you have those notes, you're going to look at them. And when you look at the notes, then all of a sudden you're reading from that piece of paper. And what are you losing? You're losing that connection with your audience and that engagement because you're leaning on that crutch. So with practice, that gets better and better. And I did mention the number one question is, how do I get comfortable on camera? And I know that when I speak, people wish that I had a magic wand that I could wave and say, it's this. But this is practice, whether that's practicing in front of the mirror, whether that's doing self-recordings, looking into the camera. How to get comfortable more on camera is to just do it more and more often. And we all have our insecurities. Trust me, I have been on camera in various forms for over 20 years, and I still do not like the sound of my voice. Okay, it's just a thing. But I've just needed to get over it, really. You know, I am the face of my brand. And so it's something that I've just had to come to peace with, right? So we all have our things. We're all looking, we're all picking things out about ourselves. We are the most critical of ourselves by far. But the only way to get more comfortable on camera is to practice. All right, moving on. Location and framing. Okay, so we are showing up here on video conferencing on a regular basis. And whether we realize it or not, our rectangles are our business cards. There we go, right? And if those business cards are moving and people can't read them, and if it's coming in and out, it's distracting, we want to show up in this rectangle as our business card, just as we would design and print professional cards. So what does that look like? Well, we want to ensure that we are framed properly. Okay, so we want to look at about a medium frame shot. So if you see the picture in my slide here, that's about a medium wide. So I'm a little bit wider, which is fine. And right now I'm like at about a medium close with something called a bit of headroom, right? And so we don't want to cram, we don't want to cut off my head, right? And then we don't want to see too much ceiling. So we want a nice medium shot. Why? Because this is where we situate when we meet with people, when we sit with people, when we talk to people. You're sitting across the table, having dinner with your family. You're all in a medium shot, essentially, right? So this creates that environment. This is a nice medium shot. But we also want to be mindful of our eye line. So this is the subtle tweaks that you can make in regards to eye line. And it's crazy what a difference it makes for other people receiving you in your rectangle in regards to your eye line. So again, I'm not looking at any of your rectangles right now. I'm looking at the lens at you. So there's no judgment if anybody's doing this, but oftentimes we have the camera up high, right? So we may have a webcam that's positioned up high, so it's coming down on us. All right. So it kind of takes our power away. We're low. We want to bring it up. The same is true if we are zooming in on a phone or a laptop, or sorry, an iPad, often, or a tablet rather. Oftentimes we are below, right? So people are looking up at you. So what we want to do, and there's a whole bunch of little life hacks, and with your laptops or computers, I've calibrated thousands of rectangles over the last few months, is something that I do at home is I go up to my daughter's room and I grab a whole bunch of board games and I put them on the table and I lift the computer, right? Or some people have put things on their chair to bring them up. I used an example of an old phone book, but then I'm just aging myself because those don't exist anymore. But essentially you can raise yourself up. So think of yourself as the subject, but you want to be in this eye line, right? And you want to be center framed. So again, when we're on a tablet or an iPhone, something that we're seeing that is a faux pas is that we're getting this, right? Have you guys seen this? You guys have seen this, the person that's adjusting their phone or tablet. If anybody's doing right now, I can't see you, so it's all good. But if you are on a phone or tablet, we want to situate it up, get that eye line, and then leave it. And the problem is typically the phone is falling or you're needing to adjust it, right? So we're going to talk about some tools that you can get in order to create some stability. Set that up ahead of time. When somebody is speaking, this is incredibly distracting. The entire audience is looking at your hand. All right. You are giving a new definition to talk to the hand because they are. All right. The same is true in regards to the framing close up or far away. Okay. So sometimes we're seeing people in a little bit too close. You're welcome. All right. And sometimes we are seeing people way back in the corner hiding in the dark. And we're all wondering what kind of criminal record you have, or if you're in the witness protection program. And if you are, you probably shouldn't be on a Zoom call. All right. So come in, be present, be medium framed. Seems simple, but we are all seeing a lot of this, right? This is how you are engaged with the person the best. What platform are you shooting for? Well, we're on video conferencing. We're using our computers. We're using our phones, whatever the case may be. It is HD. If we are content creating, oftentimes we have to, all the time, and I don't like to use absolutes, we need to be mindful of what we are shooting for. Okay, so different aspect ratios depending on what we're shooting for. So for example, most people that I have worked with over the years that I've run this business shoot portrait. All right. So let's just stop share for a second. Who has their phones nearby? Everybody grab their phones. Yeah, I told you this is interactive. We're going to get you working this morning. All right. Let's warm up. Okay, so everybody hold out their phones. Everybody hold out their phones. This is how most people take a picture, right? You're on your phone. Oh, the kid is doing something cute. Let's take a picture, right? We're used to this. Okay, most video that you want to shoot for is going to be like this. So everybody phones out. We're going to just do this. Ready? And 1. And 2, and 3, that's right, and 4, that's right, and 5, and 6, and 7, and 8. Great job. Okay, so now you will never forget that when you go to shoot video, you're going to remember Jessie, who is a little bit quirky and a lot eccentric, and we're going to flip our wrist because this is how we want to shoot. HD, there we go. We still have some people doing it. Yeah, that's right, that's right. Most content is going to be like this. Now, why? Why? Okay, so yes, when you post to Facebook, it fills the screen on the sides. Why wouldn't we want to utilize that space for a better shot and more information? What's going on? What are you capturing to share your story about your corporate culture, about your business? Smoothie break. Give me a second. All right, so that's framing. Before we jump back in, any questions? Double chin. Okay, we'll talk about that. My ladies, I love this. Okay, yes, when we are shooting video, we all love the higher angle. Okay, I get that. So maybe let's make it a bit slight and not over exaggerated. Okay, so this comes up all the time. When we're doing interviews everywhere, all of the ladies are like, can you put the camera higher? Can you put the camera higher? Okay, so just not too high, right? So that it's not exaggerated. So what ends up happening is when you actually put the camera higher, and this is kind of going a bit more in depth with the film and television days, but what it does is it actually takes your power away. So think of children. When you shoot down towards them, you're shooting from our level and they look smaller, right? But all of the kids commercials, the diapers commercials, things like that, where's the camera? Somebody, anybody. We got this. I'm waiting for this one. Where's the camera when we're shooting with children?
A level.
At their level. Yes. Yes. I don't know what you've won yet, but we'll figure it out. Okay. So it's at their level because it's going to give them their power, right? So if you go too high, it actually takes your power away. So be careful of that, right? All right. We're asking about slides. So yes, I can definitely share slides after this. I have no problem with that. And we are going to jump back into the slides here. All right. Lighting. I say I was excited about lighting. I'm so excited. Okay. Lighting. There are three types of lighting. There's natural light, ambient light, and artificial light. And natural light is your best friend when you can achieve it. A lot of us are working from homes right now. Some of us are in basements. It's a little bit hard to achieve natural light, but that is your friend. That's your number one go-to. And then you kind of work and fill around that. All right. So I am going to stop sharing because you guessed it. This is interactive. All right. So here I am at my office. I have these beautiful south-facing windows. And when we have direct sunlight, it's going to look a little bit like this, which is a little bit too much light. All right. I'm just completely blown out. And as the sun comes around, it just blasts in. Okay. So I'm seeing that we have a window over Andrea's shoulder there. We have a window beside Brenda. We have some blue light coming in onto your head. So what we have Jan, that's right, over your right shoulder. We all have some natural light. Okay, so we can work with this. We can work with this, okay? And we want to. Light is our friend. What we've done here, and this is just a little life hack, is we actually want to be able to have different levels of diffusion. So we have a 3-rod curtain rod from IKEA, so that we can have different types of drapes that come over. But I kid you not, our first 2 layers are this lovely sheer shower curtain. All right, so a little life hack. And the reason why that works great is because you get some nice diffusion. So it's not completely blackout. So watch what happens as we play with the light, and lighting is about playing. So when we're done today, you're going to be able to apply some of these skills, but you're going to need to play in your own space, wherever that space may be. All right. So let's diffuse. All right. That's layer 1 diffusion. So we went out and got a shower curtain and I was like, okay, that's not quite enough. So we went out and got a second shower curtain. All right. So, oh, there we go. So this is layer 1. It actually sounds like a shower curtain rack too, hey? Okay, this is layer 2. Ooh, hey, pretty cool, right? And this is layer 3. Now, layer 3 is a blackout blind. Again, you can get it from IKEA. We need this for when we're shooting in our office at night so that we don't get any of the light reflections off the windows. But if you need to block it out, you can actually get blackout blinds from Walmart, believe it or not. So this is what happens with a blackout blind. And now I'm bringing some light there into the back. All right. So what you don't know, so now it's a bit too dark on this side, right? What you don't know is that I'm actually filling in this side of my face with a handy dandy ring light. And this is what happens when I shut it off. So now we're pretty balanced, but we're a little darker than I would like. So let's take the blackout blind away and work with our diffusion, okay? So we now have our diffusion. So we have some nice light coming in, but it's imbalanced. It looks a little bit too hot, as they say, right? So anytime you see that blown out look, we want to try and fill in, blast in some light to even it out, okay? So this here, guys, is a little ring light. It is such a little simple tool. Okay, it has a little thing for the phone. For folks with glasses, this is a pro tip. We want to get a ring light that has a separate holder for the phone than the light. Oftentimes you see the holders in the light. The problem with that, folks, is when you go to shoot something and you have this casing in there, you get that direct reflection of that ring light in your lens. That's not cool. So what we want to do is we want to be able to raise the light, have the light above so that it's missing that reflection. You're still pouring it in from above, and then you're looking into this here, your phone or your computer or whatever that may be, but having that light be able to be separate, okay? So you're welcome. It's a question I get asked lots. Okay, so we're gonna hook this light up again, and we're gonna turn on a light here. Now, what's cool about these little devices is that they have 3 different temperatures. So it's actually a little bit further away. I need to bring it in so you can see the difference here. All right, so we have different color temperatures. So look at the difference. okay? And then off. One simple tool that's $20 or $30. All right, so let's try it again. Let's turn it on. Let's find the temperature. Now you guys do not need to be professional photographers or videographers to know which temperature you're matching. Look at your rectangle and see what looks good to you, right? So watch. That's not quite enough. I'm still a bit dark. Now I look like a Smurf. So that's the blue light. And that's a better match, isn't it? And then we play with the intensities. So we can turn it up and we can turn it down. It's not working. There we go. Okay. And there we go. So it's still not quite as perfect as I had it before when I came on, but it's playing. It's playing. So working with your space. Now I am going to give you a really, really fun tip or trick that you can use when you are shooting video or you are trying to find your light in your space, no matter where you are. All right. So we're going to open this up again. We're going to take you on a little Blair Witch project with me. Okay, I'll go slowly so no one gets nauseous. We don't need to be making anyone sick this morning. When you do a simple 360 in the space, wherever you may be, so in your office, you'll be able to find your best light, okay? So, for example, my best light, well, let's show you bad light first of all. Okay, so 360, watch the difference in my face. All right, so let's go back now. Okay, so here is the nice natural light right there. So that's a nice diffused light. If I would put a curtain across like just one level of diffusion, like that's a game, right? But I have a hot water heater in the back. I actually don't, this is my office, but let's say somebody does. Or I want my logo in the back and I want to be framed this way. Suddenly I'm not in my perfect light. My perfect light was over here, but I want to frame up here, okay? I want to work within my office. My desk is in this corner. I need to face this way. All right, so let's work with that then. So then I throw up 2 shower curtains to diffuse the light. I turn on my ring light that I've unplugged so I didn't tear it out off the desk. And I fill it in and I create my space where I want it to be using a few tools. So supplementing the natural light, which is my friend. Now, if you only have access to ambient light, which is, again, I told you I was taking you on a Blair Witch project with me today. This is interactive and engaging, folks. All right. If you are only dealing with fluorescent light, for example, then the same is true. You can still find your light, your best light, wherever you are. That's not good. That's blowing out in the background. Just by doing a 360 in the space. So lighting is about playing. That's pretty good there. That's pretty good there. I could actually do a logo over the shoulder. Jaden, I'm moving my desk here.
Okay.
Thank you. And that's pretty good there still. We're getting some darkness. Okay, where are those phones, folks? Everybody grab your phones. I would like you to open up your cameras. If you don't know where your camera is, it's a question I've asked before. Don't be embarrassed. And turn it on to selfie mode. And everybody up. Everybody up. And we are going to find our light wherever you are. So opening up the camera, turning it onto the selfie mode, and doing that 360 and finding your light. If you are shooting portrait, flip your wrist, and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. There you go. All right, and I'm gonna get a picture of you amazing folks finding your light. Finding your light. We are finding our light. It's a beautiful thing. I hope all you folks out there that are video off are finding your light. I'm trusting that you're finding your light. Awesome. Feedback, input, questions. Are you recording with what about when we're in the office with a computer? So when you're in the office with a computer, the same thing applies. So you can still shift, you can move. I've had people actually move their desk. One of the people running for mayor had me come in to do some training, and she was shooting all this video because she wanted the windows behind because it was the backdrop of Edmonton downtown. But she was having all of this changing light happening behind her. And then sometimes she was working at night, and so the lights were reflected and everything. And so we moved her desk. I was there for probably about 20 minutes. And all we did is we physically moved her desk to utilize the light, closed some of the blinds to diffuse it. And suddenly she had her team, and like she had glass office doors, and so she had her team busy and working behind her, and a logo that was for her, for her slogan or whatever, right behind her. So branding, nice subtle branding. So while we're actually talking about this, I want to answer a couple of questions in regards to backgrounds, and just kind of going there, because finding your light is a part of your rectangle, is a part of your background. It's all a part of it all together. So I often get asked about virtual backgrounds. I'm going to be completely honest with you. I'm not necessarily a huge fan, probably because I'm a huge hand talker. And if I was on a virtual background, I'd be like lost in and out of space or the tropics or wherever I happen to be at the time, right? So you'll see that a lot, is that half their head will go out, or their sweater on their chair. And I find it really distracting. Also, something that I really enjoy about our rectangles is that it gives people an opportunity to get to know you a bit better. So if you're doing a lot more networking, when you're having meetings, if you have something in behind you that's a bit more representative of you, like who you are. I worked with this other gentleman who was a representative for one of the chambers, and he was so into music, and he kept putting these virtual backgrounds on. And I said, I'd like to see who you are. I'd like to just, let's take the background down. And behind him, he had a saxophone on the wall, and he had a guitar, and he had a keyboard over here, and like an award on the window shelf. And suddenly I just got to know him a whole lot better. What I like about that is this is also connected to the transcending the lens in regards to how do we make those real authentic connections. Well, when I do my video Zooming from home, I'm actually in front of this beautiful, beautiful painting that has a wonderful story behind it. And it's by a local artist, Giselle Denis. And people commented, it is a conversation starter, which is going to be way better than any virtual background. So everybody asks me who the artist is, and it's a really fun story. And so I get to share a story with them in less than 10 seconds. Fun fact, I've wanted one of her paintings for actually over 25 years because we were best friends in high school. And so this past Mother's Day, I decided to finally treat myself. And this is a gift from my best friend from high school that was to me, love me. And suddenly you know a bit more about me, right? And so it's that know, like, and trust that it is possible to continue to create connections through the lens. It absolutely is possible to make connection, to keep business going. It's just adjusting mindset, and then adjusting some practical things, right? So my preference would be to have a real background, right? All right, any questions? Otherwise, we're gonna move on to sound, Okay, moving on. All right, folks, I am literally about to blow your minds. All right, are you ready? Brace yourself. Audio is actually more important than video. And this is why.
All right, let's play a little bit of a game here. Imagine you're shooting a film or video and you have a choice to make between really good video quality and really good audio quality. Which do you choose? You'd be surprised how many people actually choose really good video and how this could probably be to their detriment. And we're going to show you two examples. First, really good audio, but really terrible video. So you can see with really terrible video how you can follow what I'm saying, how you can get into the story, despite the fact that the image has been degraded. Directors will use this creatively, like the Blair Witch Project, which is like an hour and a half of really terrible video, but the audio is so good, you can follow the story. Things change drastically when we switch that around. Suddenly, with really bad audio, it's hard to take what I'm doing seriously. It's hard to take this whole video seriously. And to get through something like this, it's even 5 minutes. This might work maybe with action cams if the content is really good, like Skydiver. We kind of forgive that for a second. But for an actual film content, you can't pull this off. It's terrible and it's unwatchable. And it's only unwatchable because the audio is terrible. So I'm increasing that for the benefit of all of us. You can see how.
All right, thank you, Cheekbones. Okay, so this is very important, especially when we're video conferencing. And we have all been on calls with folks who have some kind of incredible hiss or echo or something going on with their audio. Please be the person that fixes their crown without, embarrassing them in front of everyone. Send them a direct message. Something that I'm seeing often is people are purchasing this, fantastic, expensive equipment, and they have these big mics and it's grandiose. And you're like, what is that sound? And often it's too hefty for the job that's needed. So let me explain, but I just want to go over these things. It's really important to test your sound levels and review your audio. So still a mistake. It's one of the most common mistakes when you're doing video content creation is coming back with terrible audio, having the mics not work. If I'm asked, what is the number one tool you would recommend purchasing in regards to video conferencing or content creation? And it is a microphone, because audio is actually more important than video. So like it showed, you can be a bit degraded, you can be a bit blurred, perhaps your lens is dirty, but if they can hear you clearly, they're more likely to stay tuned. They will tune out if you have bad audio, period. Okay. Of course, be mindful of background noise and microphone positions. So let's talk about some tools for sound. So this has become totally acceptable as a standard. And I want to show you the difference that this makes. It's something so simple. So for example, I start this presentation without these in so that, well, because I'm pretty handsy, sometimes I actually have just completely thrown them out of my ears. So that's number one reason, if I'm totally honest. But the other is to show you the difference of when I actually plug it in. So I'm going to keep rambling here talking about how important audio is, and that audio is actually more important than video. And you're going to see the difference by one simple tool, how it isolates the audio. So just by having those headphones, what computer you're using. So I do work on a Mac, which means the audio is naturally in stereo. But if you're working on a PC, that's not necessarily the case. So if you have a little headset like this, it can make all the difference just in isolating your audio, especially if you do have background noise. I mean, I have a basement renovation going on, and I've put these things on and people have said they could barely hear anything in the background. So really, really simple tool that most of us have at home. Now, if you have one for your phone and you have Apple, because they love to change everything on us all the time, and I'm still a sucker, you will need an adapter, but of course you just want the regular stereo input for in your laptop or your computer, right? The opposite is true. If you're looking to plug your headphones into your phone, you'll need that little adapter to be able to connect that. But you do not have to buy expensive mics. The example that I was giving about the mic was this big podcast mic. And so it was really great if he wasn't moving. It was just hold perfectly still and talk. And wow, that is awesome audio. But if he took a pen and tapped on his desk, or if he went to go grab a piece of paper, or if he was even tapping his foot, like with his legs crossed, I could hear everything, everything. So it was just too much power for what was needed in order to be able to project your voice versus projecting everything else you got going on around you, including the pen. So keeping your audio in mind, do an audio test with a friend. And if you hear somebody that has bad audio, please let them know, because oftentimes they're just there doing their thing and they think they have this great gear and have no idea that like there's this incredible hiss and everybody's turning down their audio and not listening to what they're saying, because it's like, oh my gosh, that hurts my ears, right? All right. Any other questions about sound? I mean, probably so many questions about sound. We just touch on it. This is a toe dip in regards to all of the different kinds of training that we do on a regular basis. So that's just kind of touching on it and really focused more on the video conferencing. When we're talking about video content creation, there's different mics, there's different equipment that we teach how to use, that we walk you through in some of our workshops and things. But for video conferencing, it's just really trying to make sure that your voice is isolated. Cool. All right. So really important to get your sound right. We just have some video conferencing or Zoom etiquette to throw in here because of everything that's happened and because we're often asked these questions. So it really is more so of a recap. You want to be on and join earlier. You want to try to have your video on. And I'm seeing that a lot of cameras are off this morning, and I know that we're often juggling a lot of things. We're seeing a lot more of that, and it is because of Zoom burnout. It is because we're all reaching a place that it's just we've had enough. We're ready to be there in person. I'm seeing a lot more cameras off, but if I implore you to do anything today, it's to continue to try to show up. It's to continue to try to turn that camera on and really engage, because that is when you're going to make that connection. So we're asking questions about connection. We're not going to do that when you're just a white font on a black rectangle. That being said, this is something else that we talk about, is with this being your business card. I'm just trying to grab a business card again. With this being your business card, if you are turning your video off, something that would be really, really ideal is for you to have a picture of yourself there. And sometimes we use company logos, and that works for a few people if we're representing a large number of organizations, for example. But if it's you and your personal brand or whatever that case may be, it's really nice to see your face. I've seen pictures, and I'm sure you all have, in those rectangles that are so real that it looks like the person is there, like they're actually sitting there. And it's like, oh, it's good to see they're present today. Something like that. I mean, I don't know if all of you have had a chance to see, I'll stop sharing and I'll show you mine. But if you aren't able to be present on camera, please have a picture of yourself and a correct name. So whether you realize it or not, and even if your video is on or not, people are actually looking through. I mean, come on, by show of hand, folks, even when I'm talking, who hasn't turned into gallery mode and seen who's all here today and are going through the rectangles? We're all going through the rectangles, man. Let's get real. Okay. And so it's so much better if you have a picture of yourself and the correct name. What if somebody wants to do business? What if the name comes up and it's like, oh my gosh, I meant to reach out to that person. What if they want to find you on LinkedIn? What if? Let's make your rectangle as best as you can, as though it is your business card. Some people even have taken a picture of their business card and used it as their rectangle so that their contact information is up there. Genius. I need to do that actually. Okay, so really, really utilizing and showing up. And I know it's tough. I know it's tough. Like, we're all reaching our limits, but when we have our videos on, that's when we're going to be able to transcend the lens, right? Here's mine for all you folks to enjoy. Something a little bit fun and entertaining, quirky and eccentric, some might say. Totally okay with that. All right, let's finish up here. So position yourself to be seen well. Framing is important. Lighting we've done today. All of you can take those tools and calibrate sound. Audio is more important than video. Speak directly to the camera when you're in meetings, at least for a portion of the time, so people feel like they're seen. Find a quiet space without interruptions if that's possible for you. Facebook Live, we're just going to touch on this really, really briefly, because I did see a whole bunch of people jumping on and doing a whole bunch of those lives and just kind of hoping to be seen and knowing that this is the way they knew how to do video. And so this is the way we're going to do video. It's important still when you're doing live that you have a message, that you have an idea of what you're going on to do. Lives used to run, 20, 30 minutes, just the same as when you look at a blog post that you're going to read and you see that it's like a 25-minute read versus a 5-minute read. Which one are you more likely going to engage with? The 5-minute read, because you're going to be able to finish it from beginning to middle to end, right? So keep them probably under 10 minutes is what I'm recommending. Talk to people. This is coffee conversations. So you want to engage. It's a bit like the New Age romper room where it's like, I see Sally, I see John. Thanks for joining, Candace, right? So we want to talk to people during Facebook Lives and engage. Just a quick recap for you here. One of the biggest tips that I like you guys to do as well, to think about, and I touched on it briefly, but we want to clean our lens. So yes, audio is more important than video, but oftentimes we're seeing this lens very blurry and we're wondering why we're so blurry. Well, it's actually because we open up our laptops with our thumbs, we're touching our computer screens, or our children are. Same with phones, we have the sweat or the makeup or whatever the case may be, or peanut butter fingers. That actually just came up last week. It's like, what? Why are you so blurry? And she's like, I think it's peanut butter. Obviously a mom. So we want to make sure we're cleaning the lens. Be mindful of what you're creating for. Do you need vertical or horizontal? Most likely horizontal. Avoid your digital zoom. So that's moving into things when you're shooting them rather than doing that little pinch. Search for your diffuse light. Try to capture crisp sound and think about your framing. So your nice medium shot. We don't want to be hiding in the dark, right? And place your subject at least 3 feet from the wall. So this was in the notes, but we'll just touch on this really quickly in regards to framing. You do want some space between you and your background to create some separation. Right? So there's an idea of where you are within the shot. So if that's possible, and I know people are working at home and in confined spaces and depending on where your light is. So it's working with all of these things and bringing them together, right? For the best case scenario, depending on your situation. So like I said, I've worked with thousands of people all over this last year, calibrating their rectangles, and every situation is different. Every single one. All right. And that's me. So if you're interested in getting in touch with me, finding out more information, oh, I did not do that. Then this is how to reach me. And I'm sure that we can put the information in the chat. Something that's really, really cool that I did want to note for you folks is that there's actually a grant, a training grant that is available to my clients to be able to work with us to train you how to do video in-house. So we teach companies how to fish. We work with tons of nonprofits as well as for-profit. The grant is available to both, but all of our clients, if they're looking to get this video training, train your team up in-house, learn how to script, learn how to content create, shoot, edit. We're doing a lot of these programs right now. We're putting a lot of applications in for the grant because it does cover 2/3 of the cost of the training, which is pretty incredible. So that's for anybody who's just looking to take this to a deeper level, that there's a grant that you can apply for. And if you're interested, then let me know and we can chat further. As well, if anybody's interested in anything else to talk about further, I would love to set up a time and chat with you. We are really, really passionate about teaching people how to fish, but except with video. Yeah, that's it. So questions, any more questions? Eating on camera when taking in a presentation or no? That is a great question. We're actually next week shooting a video with my team about all of the video conferencing faux pas, and they laugh at me because I'm a bit of like a Brad Pitt in Ocean's 8 or whatever, Ocean's 11, in that I'm constantly eating, right? And so I'm going to be the eater on camera, where it's like the apple and like the loudest things. If you are observing and you are eating, I would probably recommend turning your video off. I know, like, I sometimes have conferencing back to back where I was like, how did this, I don't have time to eat or go to the washroom. Like, how did this even happen? Why would I do this to myself? So I have had to turn my camera off and take a moment and be able to fit that in. Again, thinking about who's presenting or who's speaking, you're taking attention away, because we are, what is it? The attention span is less than that of a goldfish officially. And so we're just drawn to movement. We're drawn to, oh, I wonder what they're having for lunch. I'm hungry. I'm going to go to the fridge, turn off video, exit screen. And now you've lost that engagement. So being mindful and respectful of who's presenting, I would recommend to turn it off. Can I put my information in the chat? I absolutely can. Color versus black and white photos. I don't have a preference, because in this day and age, honestly, have something up there that's going to capture attention, right? That's why I chose that photo. And you wouldn't believe the comments I get on it, right? Like, what are you doing? Some people don't know that that's the director, and that's kind of how you frame up, right? And other people do. And it's like, oh, you're in action even when you're not in action on the camera, right? And so I can't do two things at once. Getting my contact information in the chat. Good. So I don't necessarily have a preference, other than that it's captivating, right? And your personality. So if you have that person that the cats are like always walking over the desktops and or around or whatever, like, have a picture with your cat. How great would that be? Awesome. We are still allowed to have fun, folks. I just want to say that, like, fun was not canceled, at least not in my world.
Oh, you're caught.
Sorry. Oh, I think that was just an unmute there. You're welcome, Amanda. I'm glad that you found it informative, entertaining. Yeah, I love this. I love this. And to be honest, it's so awesome. My favorite thing is when we do our workshops or our training, and I have the person in there who's like, I signed up for this because I know I have to do video, but I'm not going to be able to do video. And then they end up being the person at the end of the day that does the best video. Like, that is my life. This is my why. I absolutely am passionate about sharing all of my experiences over the past 20 years with people. And by the end of our training and workshops, they're like, I don't know what I was so afraid of. So that's the goal. Fun and easy. Fun, even editing. You know, anybody that's tried to take a stab at editing, it's like, oh my gosh, that's going to take my whole life, my whole career. It's like, I won't have time for anything else. Not true. So we teach you how to batch shoot videos so that you're doing maybe 1 or 2 shoots a month for your companies. And then you can easily put things together, add closed captioning, which is definitely, ow, that was my elbow, which has definitely become a standard. People are reading video, right? So we want to be able to add those things, and it doesn't have to be overwhelming. I promise. Yeah. I hope that you guys have had some takeaways today. Can I get a good set of jazz hands if you learned something? Nice. We got some jazz hands, and all you folks without your videos on, I know you're jazz handsing. I know you're doing it. Okay. Jazz handsing. Try to jazz handsing. Say that 10 times fast. Yeah. You're welcome, Amanda. You're welcome, Wendy, Nadine. Thank you. Lynn, thank you for coming out today. Oftentimes with the free webinars, I know as well, like, we can easily just pass things off. We can easily just go, oh, it's free. You know, there's not that investment or skin in the game, but I really hope that you learned something and took something away. And I'm really grateful for you joining. So yeah.
Thank you, Jessie. Are there any other questions people have for Jessie? This is just amazing. Great boost of energy this morning too.
Awesome.
Nothing else? So you've got Jessie's information, and we'll get the slides and the recording out. Thank you so much for joining us this morning. Thank you, Jesse.
Thank you so much for having me, Melissa. This was awesome, and wishing all of you folks a wonderful day and fantastic video journey.
Excellent. Have an amazing day, everyone. Bye.
Bye.